Welcome back to the Coins and Connections podcast, where we explore all things books, business, and bullshit. My favorite bees. Now let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Coins and Connections podcast, season 1, episode 8. And today our guest is Star. Star is a lifestyle influencer plus digital content strategist based in West Texas, courtesy of her husband's military career. As a content creator, she's either uploading to YouTube or on her blog, 87 Pages, where she shares vibrant travel moments and her obsession with Korean skincare. Whether she's in front of the camera or behind the scenes, Star is passionate about connecting with millennial women of color through the cultural lens of travel, beauty, and life, encouraging them to make a direct difference while creating unforgettable memories, with kindred spirits inspiring them to live, travel, be. Welcome, Star.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you today. I just want to tell you guys that me and Star met on YouTube and we exchanged emails. Was it email, right? Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
And we met at Starbucks. Of course, everybody loves Starbucks. And we kind of hit it off from there. She introduced me to a whole new world in Kansas. We had, a good 2 years while you guys were there. So a good 2 years, we would hit the gym. We would just go out and do random weird things and eat and drink lots of gin, lots of wine. So, I just want to go into this quick session, which I call rapid fire questions. And you kind of just answer however, you want or whatever comes to your mind first. So, it's time for our rapid fire questions of the day. What's the last movie you watched at a theater?
Black Panther.
Oh, wow.
I really don't go to movies like that.
Okay. All right. What TV character are you most like and why?
TV character. Oh my gosh. I would say Christina Yang, just because I like that she's so dry and cynical, but she has a heart of gold, but you have to dig for it.
Yeah. I love Christina. She needed to come back and have closure like they did with Alex, but
don't tell me I haven't seen it.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. Okay. Which teacher in school was the biggest influence on your life and why?
Honestly, throughout the majority of primary and high school, I was homeschooled. So I would go to public school or some other type of school, very sparingly. Until college, maybe I could choose from college. Nobody.
Okay, and that's fine. I mean, sometimes it happens like that. We really went through a period of time. Well, I feel like now it's just up and down with that school thing. Sometimes you're like, okay, maybe him or her did this for me, and then maybe not so much. So,
and I'm terrible with names, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, it was. So, which would you rather do? Go horse riding or four-wheeling?
Horse riding.
Okay. If you could do anything and money wasn't an issue, what would you do?
I would travel and I would paint.
Okay. Why?
Oh, I love to paint. I'm not very good at painting, but it feels like it helps me unblock. I can zone out. It's kind of like how I feel when I'm reading, except that I'm actively doing something and trying to create whatever's in my head or trying to replicate what I see on the screen. And then I love to travel. I'm always trying to get on the plane and go somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So the last question is rain or snow?
Rain.
Yeah, we had enough of snow.
Honestly, we don't get much snow or rain here in El Paso, Texas. So
really?
Oh yeah.
I would assume it would rain a lot there.
Oh no, we're in the
Wow.
desert.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of dry heat, but you
It
do have like sandstorms?
Sandstorms, dust storms. It does rain sparingly, and when it rains, it kind of just pours, very similar to like a monsoon.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
which is not always ideal, right? It's not like a
Yeah.
Seattle or like a New York type of drizzle.
Hmm.
And then when it does snow here, like everything like shuts down because like they're like, oh my god, what is this stuff? So it's
Yeah.
always very interesting when it rains or snows here. But if I was anywhere in the world, I would say rain.
Okay. Testing. So I just want to know, how did you come up with your business name?
All right. So 87 pages is the year. So 87 is the year I was born. Page was my maiden name, and S is for star. So I created it back in college. I've always had some type of blog, whether it was Zanga back in the day or like Live Journal, and I had created a blogspot.com. I was in my senior year. I wanted to like kind of write about like my last adventures in senior year, and I had went to Puerto Rico for the first time. And so I had always fashioned myself to be a writer. I was going to write these marvelous, books, these literary things about mermaids and vampires and things of that nature. And so 87 pages really came from my love of reading and writing. And then it's just kind of morphed into my full business as an influencer.
Yeah. And that's so funny because I never knew the part about like, I know your maiden last name, but I never knew like the S meant for star. I never knew
Yeah.
that. So that's something I found out today. So tell me about when you kind of started blogging and becoming a content creator, and have you always been interested in just being an influencer or just creating content?
So I'll answer the first part, right? So I've been interested. I find myself like creating content for as long as I've been conscious that I was creating something for the sake of creating something, whether it was when I was in elementary and my mom would take us to the art museum and we would take art classes and learn how to draw, or being in theater all my life, musical theater, and dance and learning how to play the piano. Again, some things that I'm not good at, but I have experience in learning how to do that. And my mom was just really instrumental in just pushing us to be in that artist creative type of lifestyle. She really pushed more of that art versus science with my siblings and I. Mm-hmm. And so I've always feel like I've been creating, but when I started to really focus on trying to possibly create it for a business and monetize it, I would say it was back in 2014, 15. Although I had been blogging since 2009, back in 2009, we didn't even have Instagram. Facebook was just barely opening up to the masses if you didn't have a college email address. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't think it was something like you can make money from. I didn't realize that you could be a travel writer or anything of that nature. And I wasn't sure that I really wanted to be a travel writer per se, because I don't actually enjoy doing reviews, but I love telling, like the art of storytelling is something that I enjoy. And so it was about 2014, 2015. I had just graduated from grad school, had quickly become disillusioned with the idea of working in corporate America and working in academia, although I just went through all of this turmoil to get this degree, right? And my husband and I were moving to South Korea for his job, and I was like, you know what? Probably not going to be able to find like the same position in Korea at a Korean university. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Maybe I can like work on travel blogging, right? And so that's where I just decided to really push it full force. And when we moved to Korea, and just really started to figure out more about the YouTube space of it all. I was always uploading videos, but I wanted to try to upload them in a more consistent pattern. So yeah. I hopefully that answers your question.
It does. And then also just being a part of your life, I know that when you create, like, your storytelling is genius. And just your feed and just how you put content together is truly a gift. So, if you guys are listening, like, you definitely need to check out, Star's information, when we talk about it at the end of this podcast. But here, we're going to kind of get into, what do you wish you knew before you started your business and blogging, and what kind of obstacles that you feel like you encountered?
I wish that I had been less of a jack of or Jill of all trades, and I had been focused on 1 to 2 things. I was everywhere. I was trying to figure out how to put my blog together, like literally creating it, through WordPress and Bluehost, and trying to create it, from scratch, and trying to figure out my branding and trying to figure out a logo. Like, I'm a firm believer now that people don't need logos. That is just my opinion. I'm always telling people, you don't need a logo. Just skip it. But I wish I had learned the basics of everything instead of trying to put my hands in everything. I wish I had really been able to sit down and learn SEO. Like, I have like a vague understanding of SEO and analytics and all of that. And I wish I had dug into that deeper, because now in 2020, it's such an important thing to understand that and to be able to explain that to brands and things of that nature. Even just with the editing portion of I've always used Premiere Pro, and my skill level has increased with how much Adobe Premiere has increased to be a little bit more intuitive for beginners, and having, I don't know if you use Final Cut Pro, but Final Cut Pro would have these different plugins that you could use. It was very more like intuitive, where you could just kind of put things together, and the information was easier. But with the Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the editing software that I use for my videos, you basically had to have gone to film school to really understand what you were doing.
Yeah, so, I'm not at that level.
Right, and I didn't go to film school.
Yeah, it's hard. So I kind of like stick, as in like editing stuff, I stick to the basic, because I know, that's not one of my strengths, but sometimes, it's good to reach out, but like, I totally understand what you say about the Jill of all trades, because I think at a period of time, a lot of us were probably all over the place. And I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, because when you're like that and dibbling and dabbling into different things, it just pulls pieces and experiences to make you better in whatever you do decide to do and take serious and do it full time. So there's nothing wrong with it.
No, you literally become like a one man or one woman band.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, for me, I always felt like that was one of my main obstacles, is that I could do just enough, but I could never figure out the thing to take me over that obstacle, which was my lack of learning or lack of understanding. What I wish I knew, that's basically what I wish I knew before I started, and like one of my primary obstacles. And then the other thing would just to figure out early on, am I trying to monetize this, or am I trying to have fun with this? And if so, which platform am I trying to monetize and have fun with, right? So for the longest for me, I was thinking, okay, YouTube's going to be the one, because I was making, I was getting a little check here and there.
Yeah, them little $100.
I was feeling myself. I was like, okay, Q&I, we about to go over there, get us a gin martini, dirty. But no, it wasn't YouTube. YouTube changed its practices. It was, I feel like the YouTube algorithm is always hard to figure out. It's one of those things, like just like Instagram's algorithm, as we're seeing now, like it's constantly changing every 6 months. And so just really figuring out what it was that I should have been trying to monetize. And looking back now, it was always my blog that I should have tried to monetize. Everything else should have been secondary to it, as just, so that's what I wish I had realized or knew back then. I wish I could go back 5 years and, just really focus my attention on that.
Yeah. What were you doing at the age of 21?
At the age of 21, let's see. I was graduating from Bowling Green State University, barely. And I had just gotten my driver's license because I hate driving. And I was moving to Germany to do an internship that fall, with the military on one of their, at one of their child youth centers, like a daycare.
CDC.
The CDC, yeah.
Yeah.
The CDC. And so, that's what I was doing. So I got my driver's license because I heard about the Autobahn and I was like, I'll drive on that.
Yeah.
I want to drive fast. So I barely got my driver's license. I definitely like sat there and like pulled out some tears so that lady could pass me. It was a mess. I can't parallel park to this day. Let's see. Yeah. So I moved to Germany when I was 21 and I lived abroad from there for 3 years, and then I met my husband. I like skipped ahead, but at 21, I didn't want to go to grad school. I didn't want to work in corporate America. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I always knew that I wanted to travel. Honestly, when I was in high school, I wanted to take a gap year, and my older sister was like, we're not rich. That's not how that works. You're going to go to college, right?
Yeah.
And so, I just knew that I wanted to travel. This opportunity came up and I did that internship for a year. And then I worked in Germany for a year and then moved to Korea from there.
Experiences. That was good because at 21, I was in the military. So, definitely a different experience because I got married, had a baby and all that before 21.
Yeah.
And I'm like getting ready to go to war, but then I didn't have to. So it's like, it's so crazy at how so many different people at that age where you should probably be like, everybody's so happy they can legally drink. Lots of people, we just take different routes in life. But I want to ask you, what's like the most important thing you've learned in your life and what was your life like after learning it?
That's hard. Because, we're always like still learning.
Yeah.
Life lessons
we got a lot of learning left too.
Right. I just learned something yesterday. I would say the most important thing, or one of the most important things that I've learned, is that I have to stay true to myself. And I learned that in like sporadic jumps throughout college, right? I would learn that throughout college. I learned that throughout grad school, where I would constantly try to fit in. And one of my best friends said to me, and we grew up together, and she said, Star, I don't understand why you're trying to be like everyone else. You never were like that. You never cared about what you were wearing. You never cared about trying to, you like the trends and all of that, but you don't seem like you're being yourself. Like you're trying to be what you think people want you to be. And honestly, it wasn't until I went to college that I realized that I was different in a way. Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from being homeschooled. And I know there's some people that have their ideas about homeschooling, but for us, or for me personally, for homeschooling, it was a very independent type of schooling where I really had control over what I wanted to learn. And also my mom is, if you will, a very Black revolutionary, a very, a Black feminist, a womanist and things of that nature. So I went into college, having friends in high school and doing activities in high school, but not going to the actual, brick and mortar institution. And it was when I went to college that I realized that my experiences were not similar to the people that I was meeting. It wasn't until my junior, senior year that I started meeting people that were a little bit more like-minded, that were a little bit more open-minded, to activities and things. And that's just like a wide spectrum of race, ethnicity, and gender, things of that nature. And it wasn't until really I went to Germany that I was able to kind of cast off of those preconceived notions of who Star is supposed to be. And I started to come into myself a little bit more. I started to mature more, because when you're overseas, I think, when you're overseas or you're in a whole new environment where no one knows you, you have no support system, you really have to start figuring things out fast.
Yep.
And there's no safety net. And so I feel like just learning to constantly be true to myself. And I have to remind myself that like every few months, right? I have an existential crisis. Like, oh my God, what's happening in my life? And then I realized, okay, like Star, this is who you are. This is who you want to be. Grad school almost broke me. Literally, when we were in Kansas, I almost broke because of grad school and my grad advisor and all of that. It was a lot. And I just didn't know how to not conform. And working my first corporate job, that almost broke me a lot. So yeah. And just figuring out how to just push through all of that.
Yeah.
So
but also,
go
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was just about to say, like, Kansas is just a different beast in general.
Listen.
It's, I feel like I learned a lot there, but at the same time, I feel like I wasn't able to flourish.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's hard.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was every single time that I went overseas. So from being 21 to living in Germany and Korea, solo as a young woman, and then moving to Kansas after meeting my husband and getting married, and then going back to Korea, I was able again to flourish, be my true self.
Yeah.
Someone asked me when I was in Mexico a couple weeks ago, it was this Black couple, and they travel, but they do a lot of resorts, right? A lot of resorts, a lot of cruises. Nothing wrong with that at all. And so they were saying, would you ever want to live in the U.S.? And I was like, when my husband retires, we have no plans really to live in the U.S. Our plan is to go, my husband's originally from West Africa. We're going to go back to his home country in Togo, for a year. We want to go to Portugal. We want to do this. We want to do that. And so he said, what is it about the U.S. that makes you not want to live here? Like, what is it about traveling or being in these other places that makes you, you feel so different? And I was like, I get to be my true self.
Yeah.
And
yep.
So, yeah.
Free. Very free.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, that was good.
I don't feel like I actually answered your question, but
it doesn't matter. I think somebody's going to take a lot away from that and just from your experiences and you sharing, because not even from like the traveling perspective of you being, an international traveler, but even from a military spouse perspective, because we hop from state to state trying to figure out where we fit in, when most of the time we're just meant to stand out and we won't fit in, and we just have to, learn how to move to the beat of our own drum and
exactly.
find your tribe, even if there's a tribe out there for you,
Right. And your community may not be there physically with you. Your community may still be, very much so at other military bases or living in, Indiana or living in Miami, and you're going to have to meet digitally to just get that connection that you need from other people, and then just make do. And that's something that I learned, moving PCS to Texas. Randomly.
El Paso is very random like this in general. Like,
we just showed up and they were like, no one was even like, hey, they were just like, okay.
Well, this is your life now.
Like, FRG didn't even know I was here for like 4 months. It was a mess.
Yeah, I felt like that when we got to Raleigh. I was just like, whoa. Where are we? All this grass, all these mountains. We are definitely not in Georgia anymore. Like, crazy. It was like a total shock. Like, I'm from the country, but Kansas is like, it's different. So what does a typical day in your life look like?
It's super flex, honestly. So right now I'm doing part-time / full-time. And honestly, those words mean nothing, because you make up what that means in your head as far as what the income's coming in, like how much can you live on when you say part-time or full-time. And as a military spouse, blah, 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 right? So right now, a lot of different components to that, right? So right now it's pretty flex. My day typically is based off of what projects that I'm working on, right? So if I'm working on retainer, or if I have a project due as or a campaign or a project due as an influencer or a consultant, I typically wake up in the morning. I have a spot of tea, darling. I always have to have my tea in the mornings. I haven't had my tea yet. And then I have some celery juice. This is about to be very mundane. And then I will convince myself to go work out, and then not go work out and go sit in my office.
This sounds like how my days usually go. Because I got a juicer for my birthday, and I have the celery in my refrigerator, and I can't drink it alone. I have to add an apple to it. Oh, but okay. I have my tea every morning. I journal. I drink a juice or some water, and workout, it has been in my journal 3 days a week, but it's more like no days. And I'm stuck to my desk too, so it's in my mind I work out, but
exactly,
it doesn't
I'm
happen.
doing a lot. Do you see these sounds?
Yes. This is so funny. I write down everything I do, just be like, yeah, girl, you did that today. You gotta hype yourself up.
How many times?
Look, and we have stairs, so I'm definitely moving.
Okay. Oh my gosh. And you have a dog too.
Yes, that too.
So I try to make sure that I'm getting outside, getting into the sun, getting some fresh air. We have an enclosed patio. Yeah. That's in the back, right? Mm-hmm. So we have an enclosed patio in our house, and sometimes I'll bring my laptop out there, or get the extension cord. If it's not too windy or dusty, it depends, right. Then I'll go out there, I'll work, or I go to a cafe, or I might have a meeting. But I'm trying to teach myself to work in the mornings, take a break in the afternoons, and come back in and work before the husband gets off of work, so we can spend that quality time together. My natural working rhythm though is at night, which is not very conducive, but when my husband deploys, my schedule is going to be super up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes in the past year, before I left my position where I was working on the military post for SFL I worked 3 days a week. It was 8 hours. It was 3 days a week, yes. 3 days a week. And then I would spend those other 2 days working on projects and content and things of that nature, trying to sit down, batch videos so I can edit later. So I try to use that daytime if I'm not actually working on the computer, trying to batch content for photos, for videos, shooting B-roll, things of that nature.
Okay, girl. Sounds busy. Yeah. And then I get it with the flexibility, because you can take a day off when you want to. And that's important. What platform do you feel like you receive the most engagement from?
It's at this point, it's definitely Instagram. Instagram and Facebook. I feel like they're one and the same now since Facebook bought Instagram.
Yeah.
So definitely Instagram. The engagement may not be, the likes and all of that, but it's the comments on my stories, the comments on the videos, the saves, the reach, and all of that. I feel like I have the most conversations with people through Instagram, and more recently through Facebook, because for some reason my Instagram has is messed up. How it's linked to Facebook, it's linked to my personal Facebook account. And I realized a month ago that, cause I was why is nothing showing up on my 87 pages Facebook page, right? And I would have very lackluster engagement, but then my public persona, Lengas, I would have people watching my stories, commenting on things, people who are not connected in the influencer space or the blogger space, former college professors, other military spouses, my niece, people who are, or my aunt or something like that. They're not usually checking Instagram and all of that. So it's been interesting watching that. I'm kind of doing a case study on on that content that I'm pushing out through Instagram to Facebook through my personal, or my public persona, Lengas. So yeah.
Okay. So how, what do you think is most effective in Instagram stories? Like using the polls, using the question box, or just showing up and talking to your audience?
All of it.
Okay.
All of it. So I try to use, when I'm actively using stories, and I'm definitely trying to utilize the algorithm to my, fullest potential. I definitely try to use polls. I try to use questions. I try to use the little GIFs or GIFs or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm.
I like to tell a story. So I don't just hop on Instagram very much and just be like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. That's just not my personality. I would love to be able to do that, honestly, just because I know that, people like to see that personality, the behind the scenes, but I try to showcase that in other ways if I'm not showing my face, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So my Instagram stories tend to be a little bit more curated, but I try to curate them in a way that feels like, oh, she's posting in the moment. When honestly, I'm posting from 5 days ago. So, and that's not something that everyone wants to do, or should be doing. It has to fit with what you're doing. Like there's this girl that I know, not well, but I watch her stories sometimes, and she's very much so in her car at Walmart, showing people what she's doing, telling them about their day, and going super, super into it. That's not my personality, but it works for people. So you have to figure out what works for you in a genuine way, in an authentic way, and your audience can relate to it. So yes. And also captions.
Yeah.
People don't, 40% of people don't turn on their Instagram stories like audio. I don't. And if I do, it has to be someone that I really want to hear from. But usually that person has captions, or they write down their Instagram stories, I'm not going to put captions because this is too long. So turn your audio up, right? You want to hear this. So So
I feel makes sense.
And also, if we think about, people who utilize Instagram that maybe are hearing impaired or things like that, I mean, they probably don't want to sit there and read your lips the entire time.
True.
I'm sure that is not the most educated way to put it.
Yeah.
But captions save life. I believe in putting captions on every type of video if you can. I watch captions on everything I watch on TV.
Yeah. And then a lot of people, I don't know, I be in the shade room comments. So a lot of people are like, when there's something long, they in the comment section, I'm not reading all of that. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I feel like America has a literacy problem, and that's a whole nother story. I love to read. I learned how to read when I was 3.
Yeah.
So, but, what was I going to say that's kind of connected to that is, oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry.
It's
but
okay.
It was something related to the captions and Instagram stories and all of that. But, and if your audience is international, a lot of my audience is international, from Korea, Mexico, maybe they're bilingual, things of that nature, or trilingual. So definitely adding in those, whatever you can to make it easier for your audience to consume the content. Why would you not want to do it? It is a little bit more work, but that's one of the reasons why I don't upload in the moment constantly.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So you don't have to be overly curated. Just, take some time, save your story that you put together, and then upload it later.
Yeah. So what other profession other than the one that you are in right now would you have liked to attempt?
I would love to be a doctor.
Oh, wow. What kind of doctor?
So I originally wanted to be an obstetrician, but I also really like the idea of being a heart surgeon.
Oh, wow.
I'm not good at math or science, though. At all. Don't ask me what 6 + 2 is, because I could not figure it out yesterday.
I don't like math, but I know how to count my money.
Listen, it was a struggle. I always wanted to be a ballerina. I love ballerinas. I think that art form is it's not just, it's a sport, it's an art form. I think it's so graceful and beautiful and magical. It just feels so good to watch. What other careers? I wanted to be everything. I've touted in being a politician for a little bit, but I don't really have the temperament, and that skeletons in my closet. So,
no, we don't want that.
Okay. Sorry, you said what? I did say it, and I say it again.
Yeah, I said what I said.
Right. And more recently, like being a creative director, right? Working in production and all of that. Especially because now in this day and age, it's not so confined to just working in the art or the art, photography, media, that, multimedia sections. It kind of crossovers into different industries and industries that we're now creating in 2020, right? So I feel like there's a lot more opportunity in my 32 years of age to explore various, career shifts, right? I was listening to this podcast the other day and this girl was talking about the split generation, where we're not only just doing one specific thing, we're doing things that either cross the lanes of what we're wanting to do, or it's something completely different. Like this girl, she worked at Coach, and then her and her boyfriend, they broke up, and then she became like a nail design artist. She was just doing it for fun. Yeah. And so that whole split generation, which is super interesting because I graduated high school in 2005, went to college in 2009, and that whole time for me, that entire time, the whole mentality was you get a job, like you're just a cog in the machine. Oh, you want to get to theater? You're not going to major in that. That's going to be something you do for fun, right? Those were words literally spoken to me, right? So it's been so interesting watching how, when you think of, like, if you ask a kid, what do they want to do? They're going to say, I want to be a YouTuber, right? Yeah. And I just think that's so interesting because it's very similar to maybe wanting to work in media or broadcasting or hosting a TV show, but you're hosting your own type of thing. Yeah. So, and even more now, and I even didn't think I really wanted to do this, but be an entrepreneur. I never thought I had the temperament for it. So it's been interesting, really like stepping into that and understanding what it means to be an entrepreneur and finding my own lane and creating what that looks like. Because again, everyone has an idea. They have these books. This is how you become an entrepreneur. This is the things that you have to do. But your entrepreneur path might look completely different. And and what you want to do, especially if what you want to do it's not really like a firm industry, right? Yeah. That industry is always shifting and moving, and that's what I'm doing currently in the digital space, working with multimedia platforms as a content strategist, and a communications manager, working in branding and all that. All of that is constantly shifting. It's kind of like, so it's interesting. It's fun. It's a bit hectic. I like the hecticness of it. But yeah, so it's harder to define what that entrepreneur space looks like when it's not like a firm, solid type of thing.
Yeah. So do you think now, because of how things are shifting and we're coming up with new names for what we do you think colleges will start to shift with more type of careers and things that people can major in to mirror how fast the digital space is growing and it's just how fast entrepreneurs are being birthed?
Oh, definitely. You're definitely starting to see that. The only issue is that because it's so shifty, things are changing. There's no really concrete thing. Like, you're not going to, I don't know if you can find a degree for social media, right? Yeah. But you might find something for digital marketing, and they talk about social media practices and things of that nature. So I think we're definitely starting to see it. You're starting to see schools like UCLA. I want to say there's a school in Chicago, maybe Columbia. I can't remember. Columbia's not in Chicago though. But you're starting to see these different pockets of schools offering these certificate programs because the industry is not regulated, in my opinion. It's not very much so regulated. And so people are wanting this whole I'm an expert in this, I'm an expert in that. So you're starting to see institutions start capitalizing off of that. four year, 2-year, these private professional certificate programs, very kind of similar to like the life coaching industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is not regulated either. And so what you see people offering some type of program to be certified in it, right? And I do think there is worth in understanding, again, if we talk about like going back to basics, understanding the technology, understanding how to do certain things. One of my friends, she's getting her master's degree in technical writing. It's been very interesting because as I'm actively doing this, trying to, working on, building up my business and we're building up my portfolio, a lot of the things that I'm working on mirrors what she's learning academically. She just hasn't had an opportunity to put it into play. And then a lot of the stuff that she's working on, she's able to tell me like the technical terms. So when I'm getting into meetings with brands or, pitching clients and things of that nature, I can pull from that technical front and kind of mirror the two, which gives me a little bit more like a sturdier base, which makes me feel more comfortable because I've been institutionalized my entire life. So
there's going to be a lot of learning today when y'all hear this episode because things change daily, basically. All right. So do your family and friends understand what you do for a living, or do you no longer explain it?
Great question. So I always think about my uncle. What do you do now?
We might have the same uncle.
It's the most loving thing. But, honestly, a lot of my family members are entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And I would say a lot of my family members work in the space of either nonprofit, education, law, medicine. But there was never this strict idea like you have to be this one thing. I've never felt that push, except when I tried to major in theater. They're like, okay, be realistic. But there was never like this push. But it's definitely a push of, follow your passions and your dreams, but make sure that you have like the income to like fall onto, right? Like be logical, which is something that I'm learning to try to balance a little bit. Cause I don't know if I like actually said this, but my academic background when I got my master's degree was as an academic advisor. And so, that's what I've been doing primarily as a way to kind of supplement my income, right? Working in that higher education space. My mom, for the most part, knows. I think all my family members know that I have a blog, that I have a YouTube channel. Like they support, whenever it pops up on their news feed. Yeah. I don't actively promote to them though, unless it's something like me and my husband doing something. Then they can be like, "Oh my God, this is which I definitely appreciate. It's why I put it out there. And so, and my friends, I think they understand. My friends that work in that creative space, they get it. Yeah. But actually a lot of my friends don't work in that creative space. And so for them, it's like, oh, you post on Instagram and you get paid for it? Cool. When we go on vacation, can you take my photos? Listen, that's not how this works. At all. Can you take my photos? You can't even. Listen, this cost a lot of, this was an intense. So we had to set some parameters when we all go on our friend vacations. But I would say that my friends and families, they have like a general, understanding of what I do. No one has ever asked me full force, oh, can you break down your business model? Can you tell me exactly what you do? Yeah. There'll be someone that says, hey, can you build me a website? I could make you a landing page, but I don't do a website. Yeah. Right. So like very like, sporadic like that. But I've been actively working to find colleagues in this industry that I can lean on that can understand what I'm talking about. Cause I think I told one of my friends that I had this, project due with the city, and I told her how much they were paying me or whatever. She's like, oh, that's generous. And I was like, what? Pissed. I earned it. She's like, I take your Instagram very seriously. And I was like, what? Wow. It's not just Instagram. There's a lot of like, it's content creation. There's a lot of strategy that goes behind it. I got to do a lot of work behind the scenes. But I think that's what people don't get because
they see that finished product.
Well, not even that, because they're also posting on the same platforms and they're not putting that much work into it. So they see someone who's like trying to edit, trying to remove something out of the photo. Oh, you're doing a lot. Well, technically, yeah, I am doing a lot, but I'm also getting paid to do a lot while you're posting for free and you want to show that. So, like, I knew there was no, like, you know, negative energy behind it. I totally get that. I think it's very similar to someone who said, like, you know, back in the day, I want to work in TV. I want to be an actress. I want to be an actor. I want to be a dancer. Okay, that's cute. Oh, you got paid for that? That's cute. I feel like it's like the same, I think it's on the same level.
Yeah.
Especially because it's so new. So, like, there's no, like, I know she didn't mean it like in a, like a, I knew she didn't mean it in that way. It's just understand.
Like, if you don't know, you don't know, you don't understand, And
exactly.
That happens a lot. And sometimes we just like, oh, yeah, okay, girl. Okay.
You know your little Instagram.
So
if you, stories next.
This is a good question, but if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Whitney Houston, because I love
Whitney. My.
Listen, Whitney has the tea. She will share the tea. And then I can hear her sing.
Oh, yeah. That would be so magical.
Right?
Okay, don't get sentimental on me now.
I have a song in my heart now. Let's see.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
There we go.
I see the vocals. Next person that I would want to, there's not many people that I want to hang out with, you know what I'm saying? So, Whitney Houston's always like my top one. Michael Jackson, because I just want to make sure, like, I want to, you know, give him his innocence.
Yes. I love Michael.
But he's like a potential. Like, I'm not as committed to, like, proving his innocence. You know, it's just like okay, today I want to prove it. So who else? I would love to meet and have dinner with Naomi Campbell. I think she's very interesting. I feel like she's very complex. Yeah. Especially, I don't know if you watch her YouTube channel and if you like listen to her interviews, I feel like she's a very complex thinker. And she really understands things in a whole nother level. And it's interesting to see how she's navigating this digital landscape versus, you know, she's been in the industry for years, right?
Yes, honey.
Industry for years. And then who else would I like to see or to meet, have dinner with? So difficult. I like to have dinner with my husband right now. I mean, I just want to eat. So
would you want to meet Sandra Oh?
No, I said my husband.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just asking.
Oh. Sandra Oh. Yeah, I would like to meet her, but is it like pressing for me to have dinner with her at this very moment?
Probably
no.
Not. Yeah.
It's not. I'm not very pressed.
Yeah.
To, you know, I don't know. I mean, I feel like people would say like Beyonce. I would like to know what Blue Ivy has to say, honestly. Because I feel like she has a lot of information to share.
Blue. Woo.
Listen, she
I feel like she would have
what happens at home stays at home. So
yes. We're going to be telling her and Jay and B all their business.
Right. So let me reconfigure that. So definitely Whitney Houston, Blue Ivy, and then Naomi Campbell.
Okay. That's a good 3. A lot of like different varieties. So, that would be a very interesting dinner. Alright. So what advice would you give to someone who is getting ready to start their brand or business?
So we'll say, okay, so brand, I feel like brand, what I could easily answer that, potentially, is to get out of your head. Next is get a big sheet of paper, tape it to your wall, pin it to your wall, put a nail in the wall. Write down all your ideas. It doesn't have to be streamlined. It doesn't have to be linear. Just write it. Brainstorm everything, what you want to do. And then be honest with yourself. Can you actually do that? Right? Do you know someone who could do it for you? You're having difficulty putting your logo together, which is always the number one thing that I hear from a business. A small business, I typically work with some small businesses, and they always want a logo. And they've been spending days trying to figure it out.
I just want y'all not to put y'all face on the logos no more. Let's leave that. We should have left that 5 years ago. Jeez. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. No, throw that in there. And then I would want them to figure out what is it that they're actually trying to inspire, educate, or entertain with their brand. What is the goal, right? Because then you're wasting everyone's time. And I've had to learn that too. Like, I'm wasting people's time. I'm wasting my time. Just putting up 5 questions you didn't know about me. No one asked. No one cares. Who are you? Give me something else that you can either inspire, educate, or entertain with, right? Or you can aspire to be, or it's, something of that nature. Give yourself 90 days. Give yourself 6 months. I believe in working off of 90 days, 6 months, year-long projects. If you're working in that social media digital landscape, it's really going to be that 90 days because things change every 3 to 6 months, for the most part. But although the algorithms are changing and you'll have to change your tactics, you still have to figure out what your content is. And so you don't necessarily need to be changing your content to fit the algorithm, but you should have plans and start. Video. I would say video. Video is something that any brand or business is going to have to either invest in or learn the tools of. And although we talked about being like a one-woman shop and all of that, it's not necessarily true, right?
Yeah.
Because we have our community of friends or colleagues who work in our industries who can give us insight in lieu of a business manager, right? How much should I charge this person? Or what do you think of this art design? Or what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And just having people like help you, cultivate that concept. So ask questions. I would ask questions, seek out people in the community whose brand you like, or brands or businesses that are similar to you or what you might think you might want to do. Because if I had never done that in October last year, I knew for the last year or so, back in 2019, I wanted to fully transition over into being a content strategist. Right?
Yeah.
There's only so much Google could tell you, right? You need to talk to an actual person. And that would be like one of the next steps is talking to people. And if this ad agency hadn't reached out to me they wanted me to cover some restaurant, and I flipped it back to them and I was like, can I meet with you because I want to work in your industry? They didn't feel competitive at all because what is there to feel competitive about, right? They didn't feel any sort of competition. We had a 2-hour discussion, and those women have been the reason I've been able to make the business connections here in El Paso to get hired as a freelance content strategist.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like my advice is like all over the place, which is very much so because, my brain is all over the place. So pull and pick from that is like, you need a plan. You need 90 days. You need 3 months, 6 months. You need to figure out what is it actually that you're trying to do. Try it out. Even if, try all your ideas. Like I thought I was going to be in the t-shirt business. I don't even wear t-shirts. So one of the difficult things I had was figuring out how to put a t-shirt together that somebody would wear when I don't honestly gravitate to wearing like graphic tees with words on them.
Yeah.
And so after I, spent like a cool like $40, $50, trying to put stuff together, I had to be honest with myself. Okay, yes, this could make money. It's making other people money. I'm not interested in doing this. And I would never wear this shirt. So what is the point? Why am I wasting everyone's time? So, yeah. And then talk to people. Again, the more I talk to people and network with people in my local community, reach out to people on Instagram, like that's one of the things, that you see in the digital spaces that everyone's just like reaching out virtually. Reach out. Can I get a cup of coffee? Buy them that cup of coffee when they get there, right? For their time. Or, hey, I see that you do this. I was on a panel last week and these other strategists came up to me and, and we already talked about how like this is like a new industry, but in El Paso, the digital content social media strategy is very new. Like very new for like a lot of people for this El Paso industry. They're very similar to traditional media, which is television, radio ads, billboards, all of that, which is important, but that's like the primary, right? And and which is difficult as a person who's trying to come up in like the digital landscape of digital marketing or advertisements and all of that. And so these women have been following me for months, they said, but they were too nervous to reach out.
Wow.
Now they had followed me on my main Instagram account, and I'm gonna check everyone who follows me. I mean, if you follow me, thank you so much, right? But if you reach out to me and say, hey, I work in this industry, more than likely, for me at least, because I'm as invested in it, I'm going to look at that and try to like get some questions or some answers, because it's happened for me where I've reached out to people and they've been, kind enough to share what information that they had or to clarify something. So sometimes people won't read the message, but reach out to people. Because if I hadn't reached out to actual physical people, I would have been still
twiddling your thumb.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of information out here too. So sometimes you go in a circle and you never really get the answer that you need.
And if you can get actual people to recommend you, I just checked my DMs on Instagram and another influencer recommended me for a campaign that she got paid for.
Now that's dope. I love that.
And that's because I was out there building these connections, showing that I can do the work, right? I've had people like other, aspiring influencers ask me, hey, would you recommend me to this brand that you work with? And I've told them, no, you haven't put out any content, or you haven't put out anything consistently enough for me to put my name behind you.
Yeah. So you think that's like part of that entitlement thing? Like people like, oh, look, put me on because you're already on. But yet they have really nothing to show for it and they feel like they deserve it already.
I don't think it's entitlement. I think they think it's easy. I think they think it's easy. I thought it was easy. Oh, I just got to post this. No, it's a lot of work behind it. Yeah. And then when you start, and especially like when you're building those relationships with those brands and you're meeting them in person, you're knowing their names, you're knowing like, what drink they like to order, what wine they like, right? Those are the things that are important to me. I'm not going to remember your dog's name or your kid's name, honestly. But I will remember what you like for the most part.
Yeah.
And so, but you're building those relationships. And so I think people think they're trying to move so fast because they're in competition with everyone in their head. And that's one thing, if we go back to one thing that I learned, is that I'm not in competition with everyone because no one even knows who I am. So what am I trying to prove by working so fast to get this campaign, to get this?
That makes a lot of sense.
So that's just cause I didn't feel like they felt entitled. I think they just wanted to build their portfolio and they thought it would be easy. It would be like easy work and then they can get something else.
Yeah.
So
where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years? Dead.
Yeah. Stop.
Listen, the environment is going to shit. Our politics are going to shit.
Everything is really going to shit. I'm not even going to lie to you. And I feel like I'm writing in my journal for the end. Does that make sense?
No, end days are here. For sure.
Yeah.
The economy's, about to collapse. Elizabeth Warren talked about this. Like, she just posted on her Twitter the other day. She's been saying this for a while. But no, every sci-fi show I've watched, we are in the precipice. We are at that moment where we could either tip the balance to save the planet and save our lives, or we're going to have like this mass extinction. That is extinction. That is my personal view.
Mm-hmm.
It is very cynical of me, but if you've seen the 100 or any of those
shows, yes.
And listen, we don't even have the technology advancement, so we're just going to be cavemen again.
There's a few movies I've watched, like there were like underground type
right
things. I'm like, I need somebody to give me the coordinates.
Right. Where is the bunker?
I need to be there. Put my handprint, scan my eyes. Like,
Listen.
holla at me. So
I'm
if anybody out there got the source code,
right. I'm actively preparing for the zombie apocalypse, okay?
Yeah.
Actively preparing. I've been learning how to make a fire, so that's what I've been doing. So that's my plan for the next 5 years.
Survival.
It is, yes, survival tactics.
At this point, I need to sign up for Naked and Afraid, because this is what it's going to be like. Wow.
So yeah, that's honestly, but you know, if we're talking like, you know, the day to day.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to PCS, to Georgia. It is.
Yay.
I'm not as excited about it because, again, as you know, as a military spouse, you make your routes. I like planted my routes. I forgot that he was in the Army. I was planning a birthing plan. I'm not even planning to get pregnant, but I was researching hospitals and everything. So I thought we were going to be here for a while, but no, randomly, as random as we showed up in El Paso, as random as we're leaving.
Yeah.
So, it was like, oh, hey, you guys should leave now. So, we're going to buy a house. And so we're, for the two of us, right now there's two of us, we're really focused on making and saving money, having those streams of income. Cause again, like I said, our future plan, my husband's hit 10 years, so he has 10 more years, in the Army before he retires, is to live abroad. And any properties that we have in the U.S., just rent those out or come back and stay, you know, whenever we want to, whatever. So yeah, since we know what our end game is, once retirement hits, like, you know, a couple years after retirement or immediately after retirement. So yeah, that's that part as far as family base. Pop out one child. So.
Okay. Pop out.
Or adopt. I'm really fine with that one too.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to keep going to the gym. You know,
Listen.
just keep it. Can we just keep it? I would love to know if in the next year men can get pregnant. I would love for that scientific, thing to happen. But we're all living in a fantasy world. And then I hope that in the next 5 years that I have built up my creative agency, and I have like 2 staff members, like 2 team members, right, to add to my team. So yeah, that would be really great.
That's a plan right there.
Yeah.
Cause we gotta grow, gotta move on, do bigger and better things. But you know, this is the prime years. You know, these 30s are just.
Are they though?
I don't know. I'm loving my 30s. I'm just like, cause I was a whole fucking mess.
I'm like discovering everything so late though. That's why I'm trying not to feel that way, because I feel like I wasted. I mean, even though it wasn't necessarily a waste, but I feel like I wasted time getting like that master's degree in something that I don't really want to work in, because that was always like, I don't think I actually said this, but I got stuck in my backup plan because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. And so I purposely went and got a master's degree as a backup just in case anything happens while my husband was in the Army. So I could support us so he gets back on the speed or whatever, right?
But that's understandable.
It's understandable, but I wish I had discovered or had been introduced or talked to an advisor who could pinpoint what I'm actually passionate about. Because I've been working in event coordination and planning and marketing for a long time. Like as an undergrad in college and grad school, and then just for the fun of it. And that's when I realized that this is something like, once I realized you can get paid for this, yes, great. But I was doing that for fun in my free time. Like putting these events on, doing the marketing, figuring out how to make Instagram and YouTube like this amazing thing, and my blog this amazing thing. And it didn't connect until, very recently that I could make this into like a very successful, and by recently in the last 3 to 4 years, make it into a very successful business. Yeah. So I kind of feel like I'm playing catch up. I'm trying not to let that, I'm trying not to wallow in that, but that's one of my frustrations is that I'm playing catch up.
And I also feel that the world wasn't equipped to really help us.
It wasn't.
So, yeah.
It wasn't. And
a bummer.
That's the other. Yeah, bummer, but yeah.
So our last question of the interview is there a book an interview you watched, or a person that has basically helped you on your journey?
I would say it's been people.
Okay.
People who have said to me consistently, oh, you're really good at this. You should, market that. You should, reach out and see if someone can, build your business. A lot of my close friends have been saying to me, people who don't work in the industry, people who do, you're really good at this. You should be charging people. Can you do this for me? And, sometimes when multiple people keep asking you to do the same thing or keep saying the same thing, maybe one day you're just going to seep into your head and you're going to listen. And you're going to be like, oh, wow, I can actually do this, right? And it's like, oh, I'm paying these people this much money out in LA or New York or in London, and you can do the exact same thing. And it's less headache when you do it. And so it's actually, I would say, the community that I have around me, including you, who have, consistently said, hey, you're really good at this. Yeah. And that's really helped motivate me to keep me on the journey. I just had to believe it myself. I just had to believe that I could do it myself. And that was, that was the turning point. Once I believed that I could do it, and I got out of my head, and then got back in my head, and then got back out of my head, back and forth.
Yeah.
Then once I realized that I could do it, that was all the difference.
It does make a truly big difference when you finally get that confidence, and you're like, all right, here I go. Mm-hmm. It's my time. So it definitely makes a big difference. And I always say, I tell people, I'm like, oh, like I encourage you, but at the same time, I can't push you before you're ready, because mm-hmm. then it's like you're doing it for me and not for yourself. But when you, like you said, when you was able to, gain that confidence and really decide on what you were going to do, you were ready. And, it made a big difference in how the outcome of you mm-hmm. starting came about.
Yeah, so. You're more detailed. You're more. I would love to say consistent. That consistency has always been an issue of mine mm-hmm. Since the dawn of time. But you're more. What is the word that I want to say? I can't think of the word. There's an adjective that I want to use. But basically, you're more focused. You're more focused, and you're more particular and or detailed. And about how you get it done.
But also, I want to tell you that consistency looks different for everyone.
It does.
If your consistency is, hey, I'm going to get up and I'm only going to work 2 days, that's consistency, and that's your consistency. So I always tell people that,
especially if you're getting like so much done in those 2 days.
Yep, like that's what you can do.
Creating.
It sure is. It will take the life out of you. I do. I've done like videos 4 in a day, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, and I'm like, I can't even edit it for a whole week later, but it does take a lot of energy out of you, because a lot of times, I'm not more so like the perfect Patty type person. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of, I'm going to record it. You're going to get what you get. If I fumble on the word, oh well, you know what the fuck I meant.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to get to that point.
Yeah. And I'm just comfortable with myself. I'm okay in that space. So a lot of my stuff is raw and unfiltered, but I also think my audience enjoy that part of me, because a lot of times we see a lot of things and it's dressed up and it's made up and they do it just for that. And then when they get into it, they think that's how it is, when no, mm-hmm. really people are beating their faces for an hour, paying $300 for weaves and got all this equipment. And you see the final product, like I was saying earlier, but it's hard as hell. So I'm just hard. Like, look, I give you quality information that's coming out of my mouth. So I know regardless of how I show up, you are going to leave with something. And I stand on that. So if my hair is out of place, so what? That's not what you came here for. You came here for the information. You got it, get it, move on, and use it. You didn't come to see how cute I look today. So I'm just in that space of, are you coming to see how I look, or are you coming for the information? Mm. That was a word, okay? Amen.
Inspire, entertain, educate, all of that. So
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
But I would like to say on the flip side, if you want to, look a little cute, you can.
You can put some lip gloss on, edges down.
No, I mean, I don't believe.
Look, I ain't saying come up looking busted.
I just want to say, I don't believe in laying edges. I've never laid my edges in my life. I don't believe in laying edges. But if you want to put on some lip gloss, you know, because it depends on what your product is, right?
It does.
So yeah. So y'all gonna see my clavicles.
So I get asked a lot, how did you start your podcast? Where do I begin? How can I start a podcast? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. You know, I'm down with the free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like, ain't nobody listening yet and you making money. How dope is that? It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting on? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. This segment is called Q Money Bag Thought of the Week. So now it is time for Q Money Bags Thought of the Week. And the question is, how do you feel about Elizabeth Warren dropping out of the presidential race?
Devastated. Have you seen my Instagram? I don't know.
I did, and that's why I wanted to ask this question.
Oh, you did your research.
Yes, honey.
Listen, my Twitter is a mess. I have a Twitter, but I don't use it for like content or anything like that. I go out there to pour my heart. Listen, we could have had a bad bitch.
Yes.
No, it's horrifying. It's horrible, but this is just what America deserves. Listen. So I've actually, to my knowledge, I voted in every single election, not every single primary, but I want to say I voted in every single election. And I'm really contemplating, and this is horrible for me to say because my family's very, vote. My mom was like, she texted me the other day. She's like, we're going to FaceTime because I'm doing an absentee ballot for Ohio. And she said, we'll FaceTime and we'll fill out your absentee ballot together because I don't know what's happening in Ohio. So I'm just going to go with what she says.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly considering not voting in the primary because it sucks so much that I can't vote for my candidate who should stay in. And like this Tulsi Gabbard, whatever her name is, she's a Russian operative, but I'm just really upset about Elizabeth Warren. I don't see it for Bernie. I don't see it for Biden. I actually voted for Hillary in 2016. So I never saw it for Bernie. And I didn't think America would get behind his progressive socialist ideas, no matter how well they sound. He didn't have a plan. Elizabeth had a plan for everything. I'm probably going to go with the lesser of two evils. And I really was hoping that for this election, especially with how many candidates came out in the beginning. I thought we were like up until now, we would have like at least 5 or 6 still in the race, that we could choose from. Like from Kamala, even though, she had her moments, to Castro, even Beto with his, listen, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings. Okay. So, I'm very disappointed. I'm going to go on Elizabeth Warren and buy myself a Elizabeth Warren sticker in a tote bag so I can like let everybody know continuously for the next 6 months that they made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I haven't decided if I'm going to vote for Bernie or Biden. If Elizabeth Warren is on the absentee ballot for Ohio, I'm going to just put her name in so I can just vote how I want. And then in the actual election in November, I'll make my decision then.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for your opinion and your thoughts on it. I myself have to do my research and figure out this absentee ballot thing because I did not vote in the last election because I was too late with my stuff, and it was just a whole, learning.
No, that's happened to me before.
Yeah. So
that's happened to me before. Yeah. And the rules are so different. You have to stay on it. And then they make it so hard to print out the absentee ballot or to request it. It's not very, intuitive, especially the PDF. Like people don't scan people don't scan things anymore. So they really need to update their system. People don't fax anymore. like I have to go buy a stamp. What the hell is that? I mean, I know what a stamp is, but I'm just saying. Like, that's a lot of work now. I got to go buy an envelope and a stamp. Why can't I submit my absentee ballot request virtually?
Like through the email.
Through email or virtually through a website where I just fill it in a box and you guys just mail it to me and then I mail it back in an envelope and a stamp that you.
Wow. That's how I assumed it was. I really thought that's like how it happens.
No, and that's how it's happened before when since I've 2009 I've been requesting absentee ballots for the elections, and the last few times I had to like print it out, fill it out, and mail it in. And I want to say they were trying to put together some type of like website where you can just digitally request it. And usually when they mail you the absentee ballot, they mail you an envelope, but you have to we had to bend the paper, fold the paper, to make the envelope, which was wow, which was just bonkers to me. And
that's interesting.
those ballots are long too. So you can't just be like, oh, here's this, let me just get a regular envelope. So it's a really, insane process that could really be streamlined so much more easier. But people are gonna be people. They're gonna, they want to run elections all the time. So that's just one step. They make it so hard to do it.
Yeah. I need somebody listening to figure that out.
I just told them what they need to do.
Yes. You got a whole plan.
Do you see why she was my... Yeah. So I'm really interested to see who Biden and Bernie are going to choose for their VP, because I think that's really going to be the turning point for me on who I decide to vote for. Yeah. And I want to see how they build out their cabinet. So that's what I'm most interested in. I'm also interested in knowing what they're going to do for healthcare, their foreign policy, their education plan. I was really looking forward to having my student loans forgiven and dissolved and disappeared.
Same.
So I met the requirements. So that's when I did the math. Yeah. But yeah. So it should be interesting.
So our interview is coming to an end, and we have been talking for a long time, but so much good information has come out of this podcast episode. And I just want you to quickly tell everyone where they can find you in these internet streets, websites, events that may be going on, or other places that they can find you on Instagram. Just go ahead, have the floor.
All right. So my name is Star Lengas. You can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, all the social media at 87 pages. So it's 87 like the number, page like the book, S at the end. That's my handle for everything. Again, it's been consistent forever. I even have a TikTok. I've uploaded 2 things. So yeah, 87 pages. If you're in El Paso, I run the El Paso Bloggers group. I'm the chair. I created that whole thing. And we have events and workshops here in El Paso for influencers, small businesses, bloggers, Instagrammers, people who really want to learn how to utilize social media, how to monetize it if that is their choice. And if you're just doing it for fun and you're just, wanting to do everything in kind, trades and all of that, that's the place to be. That's the community that I help to create here in El Paso, and it will still be going on once I leave El Paso. So, yeah.
All right.
www.87pages.com. I'm sorry. Listen, I got okay. I also have a blog. I really want to push my blog a lot more this year. That's been my focus, is pushing my blog. So I would love if you guys could check out my blog, 87pages.com. And yeah, that's it.
All right. So it was a pleasure to just have you on to talk about all of the things digital content, and as a content creator and influencer, and just about our friendship, our mini travels and fun times in Kansas.
Listen.
So I am, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed Star here on the episode, and don't forget to like, no, this is not YouTube, girl.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.
I do want you guys to subscribe, but make sure you take a picture of the podcast episode and tag me on Instagram or Facebook while you're listening. Yes, please leave a review. And I appreciate you guys for listening. So until next time.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
So I know you want to get serious in your business, and the first thing that I want to tell you is that Gusto is it. If you want to learn how to run payroll and pay your contractors, Gusto is the easiest payroll and benefits website that I've found. I truly love the company. It's easy to use. It's easy to sign up. And I can integrate my dental, medical, business, and benefits. I can get help from HR experts, time tracking, make sure I'm in compliance with all of the new rules that come up. They send my tax information. I can print out checks. I just love everything that Gusto has done for me in my business. And if you're ready to take it to the next level, make sure you visit bit.ly/GustoCC. Thank you guys so much for listening and subscribing. Don't forget to share and leave a review for this podcast. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@cinquantacoxsmith.com. You can follow me on Instagram at cinquantacoxsmith and at coinsandconnections.com. My websites are www.cinquantacoxsmith.com and www.coinsandconnections.com. You can join my Facebook group at Books Plus Business with Cinquanta Cox-Smith. I love you more than I love this podcast. Peace.